Alright, what's going on guys? It's Neptune, and today I'm going to be making a quick little video on a new game that I got. It's an early access game called Ground Branch. So like I said, it's an early access game on Steam, and normally I don't get too excited about early access or alphas or anything like that, but I went into this game with kind of mediocre expectations, and I was actually quite impressed with it. So let's do a quick little video, show some of the cool aspects of the game, and yeah, let's get into it. Alright, so let's talk about operator customization, and there's no point system or level unlocks or anything like that. Everything in the game is available to you at the beginning of the game, so I love when games do that. There's quite a few different shirts, pants, headgear, helmets, hats, glasses, bunch of different plate carriers and tactical vests and chest rigs and things like that to choose from. So you can get your own unique look going on, and not all clothing, but a lot of it can be changed with different camos and colors and things like that. But by far the coolest thing about operator customization is setting up your chest rig. So the way customization works in this game is you can move it around, whether it's your operator or your weapon, and you can rotate it wherever you need it to be. And everything that you can attach, all equipment and attachments for guns and things like that, are in drop boxes at the top right here, and you just click on whatever tab you want and then just drag and drop whatever you want onto wherever you want on the vest. So say for example I want to remove this, I just drag it off, and I want to put a grenade back, I just drag it to where I want it. So that's really sick. The positioning of things does not matter, so where your mags are does not make, you know, reloading faster or anything like that. What does matter is what's on your chest rig. So if you, whatever you need, you better put on your chest rig, because whatever's on your chest rig is what you spawn with. So if you decide you want to have a bunch of grenades, or you need a bunch of flashbangs for a certain class or something, you have to make sure you put the correct amount of flashbangs or whatever on there. So whatever's on your rig obviously is what you spawn with. Now when it comes to ammunition, you see at the very top there's primary ammo and secondary ammo. These are like generic ammo pouches that will automatically convert to whatever ammo type and whatever magazine you need for your currently equipped weapon. So that sounds a little confusing, but basically I would recommend only using primary and secondary ammo pouches. Using these specific types of ammo pouches seems kind of redundant, because these primary and secondary, these generic ones, auto adapt to whatever type of weapon you have. So I don't know why you would ever even use these to make a chest rig setup anyways. I'm assuming later on they're going to add mag sharing. So if your buddy's using a different caliber than you could pack a couple extra spare mags on your chest rig. If you have the space in case he runs out of ammo, you can give him a couple spare mags of his type of ammo, whatever he's using. But other than that, yeah, just use primary and secondary ammo because it's so much easier. And what they do is they automatically change to whatever type of weapon you're using. So right now, these are all the generic primary mag pouches, and I have an assault rifle equipped. So they're showing as assault rifle mags, but if I go over here and change to a 9mm submachine gun, you'll see they all change to 9mm mags automatically. And if I change to a shotgun, they change to shell pouches, and if I change to a light machine gun, they change to giant machine gun magazine pouches. So that's really cool. It's super easy if you just use the generic primary and secondary mag pouches. So don't even bother like trying to find whatever, you know, mag from whatever gun you're using. Just use the generic primary and secondary ones until they add in a feature, or unless I'm missing something. If I'm missing something to why you would use these, then let me know, leave a comment down below. But as of right now, it's kind of pointless to do that. Just use the primary and secondary ammo pouches and you'll be good to go. You can set it up however you want. So yeah, it's pretty cool. Let's move on to weapon customization. So let's talk about weapon customization. Now, what I really like about weapon customization in this game is that there's no cookie cutter attachments. So what I mean by that is, for example, a PEC box, a laser sight, I like to mount mine on the side. A lot of people in real life like to mount them on top, and most games tend to mount them on top, which I find really fucking annoying. Because, for example, if you put a sight here and you have this big chunky peck mounted up top, a lot of times it will get in the way of your optic, and your sight picture will be partially obscured by the peck box, and that's really annoying for me, at least. And there's a few solutions to that, and one is just not mounting it on the top. I like to mount mine on the side, which is really nice that they give you the ability to mount it on whatever rail you want, pretty much. So that's really sick. But if you want yours mounted up top and you don't want to put it on the side like I do, if you want yours mounted up top, and the reason why people mount it up top in real life and games mount them up there is because if it's up top, it's more accurate to, like, the laser sight is more accurate to where your bullets are hitting. So I still like to put mine on the side, but regardless, if you want to get around the peck box blocking your sight, there is a workaround. They've actually added risers in this game, which is fucking sick. So you pick the appropriate riser, which is just a little, like a rail extender basically, that raises up the rail system, and then you can put an optic on top of the riser, and that will give you enough clearance to see over the peck without it obscuring your sight picture at all. So that's really nice. They just let you get really in depth with what you want to do with your gun. And not only that, but it's not just, it doesn't just snap to one spot and okay, that's where it is. You can, as long as you have enough rail space, you can adjust like where on the rail. Like you can decide if you want it more forward or more back, which is cool. And like, see, this is probably where you'd mount that in real life, but if you want to, you can actually mount it up there. Though if you do that, it will be incredibly hard to use and really hard to see through. So keep in mind that the placement of your optics changes how they're gonna look when you look through them on your gun. And if you want to just make some meme classes, you can just make some hilarious like Mall Ninja setups like this, and you know, put a peck on, and what else, like put a suppressor on, and you could slap a bipod on there too. Like, why not? Like, if you want to, you could use this, and this weapon is 100% useless. You can't, when you put two optics like that, you can't even see through them. But if you want to do it just for the memes, then you can, which is really cool. So, and then it's super quick to, if you just want to strip it bare bones down to nothing, it's super easy to just drag everything off. So I really like this drag and drop non-cookie cutter attachment system, and just the whole customization system in this game, just flat out, is fucking sick in my opinion, and it's done really smoothly too. It's just real quick. It doesn't take a lot of time. The UI is not confusing. It's just simple drag and drop and drop down boxes, and that's all you need. And it's another cool feature that this game has is that if your optic has the ability to change from red to green, then you can do that by clicking the delete key, as well as you can increase or decrease the illumination of your reticle by using the home and end key respectively. So home ups the illumination and the end key downs it, and that can be useful for using night vision, because sometimes if your illumination's too high on night vision, you're just going to get like a big green blob as your reticle, and you're not going to be able to see, so you're going to want to down that a little bit. So yeah, that's a cool feature. Just lets you personalize your gear for the situation a little bit more. Alright, speaking of night vision, I really kind of like what they've done with night vision. So night vision is it's just not usable. You cannot use it during the daytime, as you can see. Like, it hurts the eyes quite a bit. But what I like about night vision is they made it, you get the benefits from it. Of course, there's definitely benefits to using it, because you can use IR lasers with your PEC box, and you can designate targets and things like that for other teammates that are also using night vision. But, and of course, obviously you could see a lot better in the dark, but it comes with a trade-off with this particular model, which is like PVS 15s or PVS 14s, I think. This particular model of night vision, which is really common, has a very poor field of view. As you can see, this is pretty pretty much realistic. So you get a lot less field of view. As you can see, I'm looking at this hallway versus how much you could see now versus how much you can see there. So you can see, like, can be an issue if you come in a doorway. This is all you could see pretty much when you're coming through a doorway versus that much. With that, you could see almost the entire room versus a very small portion of room. So I like that. I like that they didn't just make your whole screen go green. I like that they were like, you know what, if you want to use night vision, cool, use night vision. You get the benefits of using your infrared laser, and you could see way better at night. But guess what, you're gonna get poo field of view just like you would in real life. So I respect that. I like that. As well as using magnified optics with night vision on. Like if you're trying to look through an ACOG with night vision on, it's doable, but it's not really gonna work. It's gonna be pretty blurry and kind of washed out, just like it would be in real life. It's really hard to see through magnified optics with night vision on. So I just like that they kept it real. Like they kept it like, okay, yeah, you can get the benefits of using night vision, but you're also gonna get the downsides as well. So I like that they balanced it that way. It seems pretty fair in that respect. So yeah. All right, so let's talk about some of the cool mechanics. Let's talk about movement first real quick. If you just simply move forward with W, you just get a walk. Even if your gun's out, you just get a walk. And I really like that, honestly. A lot of games when you press W, you'll get like a, like a jog like this. Now, this game, you get a walk. And then if you press shift, which is normally sprint in games, you get a jog. And you can ADS while holding shift. And you move pretty quickly like that. But then there's actually a separate key for an actual sprint. I have mine bound to caps. It's right above shift, and that's really smooth. And you move really fast when you sprint. And your dude huffs and puffs for quite a while afterwards. As of right now, it doesn't impact accuracy at all for sprinting, but the thing about this, I really like that just pressing W is a walk, because honestly, 80% of the time I'm only walking when I play this game. 80% of the time I'm only walking. 15% of the time I'm jogging like this and moving between cover and things like that while ADS while I'm jogging. And literally probably only 5% of the time do I ever actually need to sprint like this full out to get into cover or just to get the fuck out of wherever I'm getting shot at from. That's the only time I ever use the full-on sprint, and I kind of like that because just having just a walk with your movement key I find it just slows down the gameplay a lot more, which is really nice, and it makes it feel a lot more tactical, because not everyone's just like sprinting around and like it doesn't, the gameplay doesn't play out like that. Really, it's harder to just sprint around and like act a fool. So I like that it sort of slows everything down and keeps it feeling more tactical, and yeah, it's just cool. And it's also smooth too. I thought it would be weird, like, oh, maybe there's too many movement keys and keys for things, but no, it's really not. It's actually quite smooth, especially when you have it set up with the jog being shift, which is default, and then just switch your sprint key to caps, which is right above that. It's really smooth. So yeah, I just like that it slows the game down a little bit and sort of just really, it seems like a small change, but it actually really does make a big difference in slowing the game down, which other games have tried to slow gameplay down in different ways, but it doesn't seem as successful as this, so I'm a big fan of it. There's no prone, there's just a crouch. They will be adding prone eventually, and you get your left and right leans. And yeah, that's pretty much it for movement, at least. They're gonna add a prone, and they're gonna redo most of the movement animations and reloads and everything like that. I think they look pretty damn good already, especially for an early access, so hopefully they just improve. Hopefully there's no downgrades in movement and whatnot, because I'm really impressed with what they've done so far. But that's pretty much it for movement. Alright, let's talk about the first unique mechanic, and that would be weapon position. So As I'm holding my weapon right now, I'm in a ready position. Now this is probably, well, this is how pretty much every other game has you hold your gun. So in addition to this, you have high ready, and you do that by mouse scrolling up, and then if you scroll down, you can go back to ready, and if you scroll down again, you get a low ready position. And the ADS times are slightly different on these. It seems like low ready is the slowest ADS, ready's the fastest, and high ready's the second fastest. Now, this mechanic's really cool because it works hand in hand with how strict this game is with weapon collision. And what I mean by that is, if you go to any wall, surface, or even a enemy or player or anyone, if you get too close to that surface and there's not enough distance between you and that surface to fit your weapon system, you cannot use that weapon system. So what I mean by that is, if I put my weapon out in front of me in a ready position like this, okay, right now my barrel's literally like half an inch from touching the wall, so there's just enough room for me to be able to ADS, have the weapon fully out in front of me like you have to do to actually shoulder the weapon and fire. There's just enough room. If I go any closer than that, there's not enough room for my weapon to fit. There's too little space between the wall and my shoulder for my weapon to be aimed and fired. So you can't aim, you can't shoot or anything. If this happens to you, you have to back up, create enough distance, and then you can engage the target. And that, like I said, that happens to people. So if I'm coming around the corner like this, and I have my weapon out in front of me, and I turn the corner and there's literally a dude right here, like kissing distance from me, my weapon's gonna do that. I'm gonna be disabled. I'm gonna have to back up and then engage him. And I really, really like that they did that in this game, because if you've ever played a game like, for example, pretty much every other game does this, but any game that doesn't have weapon collision, where you can basically get as close as you want to a wall or something and aim down sights and shoot, any game that does that has this issue where, for example, say I have a big long sniper rifle in my hands, okay, like a giant, like 6-foot long sniper rifle, and I come around the corner, right, and I turn, and there's a dude standing right here. He's a foot away from me. In real life, if I do that and I turn like this, I'm gonna turn and slap him in the side of the face with the side of my barrel, and my muzzle's gonna be like 3 feet behind his head. So there's no way I can kill this guy. I'm gonna come around and my barrel is just gonna hit this dude. And he's gonna be a foot away from me. I can't engage him because my barrel is behind his head because I have such a long weapon system. That happens in this game, just like it happens in real life. In other games, like just for example, Call of Duty or something, I can have like a Barrett 50 cal in my hands, turn the corner, and there's literally a dude. We're kissing distance away, and I can just shoot and kill him. But on his screen, my barrel's like behind his head pretty much, so how's that make any sense? So I find that really annoying in games, so I'm really happy that they took the initiative and like forced you to like just deal with the weapon collision, because that's realistic. But they didn't just do that, they actually added in, I don't know if they added in the weapon positions specifically because of weapon collision, but it works hand in hand. So they didn't just leave you high and dry, and you don't have to just deal with it. You can actually minimize the risk of having your weapon disabled by using the correct weapon position for whatever situation you're in. And I really like that too, because it just adds another like depth to the gameplay, and it kind of makes you think like, okay, where am I? Am I inside of a plane? Am I inside of a building? Am I out in a open forest somewhere? Like, where am I? What's the best weapon position for the position that I'm in right now? So I really like that. It just adds another layer of thinking that you have to do, and just another level of sort of tactical gameplay, if you will. And another really good example would be trying to stack up and go through a doorway. So say you want to go through this doorway. If you have your weapon out in front of you in ready position where it sticks out the furthest, if you try to come tight to this doorway and turn tight, your barrel is going to be sticking through the doorway, and as you turn, since it's sticking through the doorway, it's going to hit the door frame and it's going to become disabled. You can't just aim through the wall. So just like in real life, if I come like this, my barrel's going to hit the doorway, and I'm going to have to take a wider, to prevent that, I'm going to have to take a wider approach to the doorway. But if you want to take it just a quick, tight turn, high ready position works really well for that, because it lets you get close to walls and surfaces while minimizing the risk of disabling your weapon. It still can happen, as you can see, but having a high ready position allows you to come around the corner tight and turn the corner and engage your target a lot easier and with a lot less risk of having your weapon disabled. So yeah, that's a really cool feature. Let's move on to the next one. Alright, so I hopped on a server here, and I just wanted to show you the lobby system, because the lobby is really cool. When you first join a server, you'll pop up in this room, and you'll have the server rules and the lobby, whoever's in the lobby. And then you come into the sort of like the locker room area where each player will have their own cubby if they're in the lobby, though it doesn't matter. You can go to any cubby, you can go to someone else's, it doesn't matter, but it's still kind of cool. And in your little cubby you can customize classes and do everything you need to. And if you want to test something out, you can come over here and test some guns out, but don't worry, you can't just team kill, because you can't shoot here. You have to be on the firing line. You have to be like right here. I can't shoot right here, so if you're any further than this, oh, and there's bulletproof glass here and a wall, so you can't just stand here and shoot into the locker room, thankfully. So that's cool. To start the lobby, you go into the operations room and you select a spawn point, and you can change the difficulty and whatnot. If you want to start a vote, you can start a vote up here, or that's how you vote for a vote that's going on. And since I'm the only one in the lobby, the match will start right away, so we'll just do this.